The Seattle Dragons lost to the DC Defenders 31-19. And the number one thing that stood out to me was their head coach, Jim Zorn. The XFL gives us access, tremendous amount of access, because coaches are mic'd up the entire game. And for some guys, that's great. For Jim Zorn, it's really bad. It did not make Jim Zorn look bad. We got to hear Jim Zorn the entire game, the way he interacts with his players, the way he communicates. And I got to start off by saying Jim Zorn is a legendary quarterback in the Northwest. I'm from the Northwest. I live in the Portland area. He's a long time. He was the Seattle Seahawks quarterback for years. He's a legend kind of in this area. But being a great quarterback and great player does not necessarily mean you're a great coach. And watching Jim Zorn, his communication skills were really tough to watch. You know, Brandon Silvers is the quarterback in Seattle. And, Jim Zorn and Brandon Silvers, the two of them didn't have a negative interaction, but it really was odd to watch. I kind of felt bad for Brandon Silvers because there were moments where Jim Zorn was trying to coach him up, and Jim Zorn just could not clearly communicate the message. It was like, man, this coach is having a hard time explaining what he's trying to say. And, Brandon Silvers is one of the more talented quarterbacks in the XFL. He's a huge dude. He can run. He can throw. He's got a cannon for an arm, but he lacks polish, and he needs good coaching. He had 3 touchdowns and 2 interceptions in this game, week 1. And Brandon Silvers really reminds me of a quarterback from the early 90s where, he would have been a franchise quarterback back in the early 90s. Kind of reminds me of Rob Johnson, the former Buffalo Bills quarterback. Giant dude, huge arm, takes a lot of chances vertically. But he had some rough moments. In today's NFL, so in the early 90s, Brandon Silvers would have worked. But in today's NFL, football is now far more precise. You got to be really polished and a great decision maker, which he is not. Brandon Silvers had some rough moments. He was forcing throws downfield. He wasn't throwing to his checkdowns underneath. And so the biggest storyline to me in Seattle is, will Brandon Silvers progress throughout the course of this year? I am not confident that head coach Jim Zorn can help Brandon Silvers mold and develop as a quarterback. I don't think he has the necessary communication skills to help him. And I just look at Seattle. There's a lot of potential in Seattle. Brandon Silvers is a really talented quarterback. The question is, will he improve? Is his accuracy going to improve over the course of this year? Is his decision-making going to improve? Is his understanding of situations going to improve? How to handle this versus that? I'm excited to watch and see what happens, but if it doesn't work out between Brandon Silvers and Jim Zorn, a lot of this is going to be on the coach, a coach that was unable to communicate effectively and teach the game of football effectively. He might know the stuff, but if his teaching skills aren't good enough, Brandon Silvers is never going to develop and never going to get better. And so that's what we got to see. I'll be at the next 2 Seattle Dragons games in Seattle. I'll be there. It'll be really fun. I'm excited to watch the games live. But the question is, how much can Jim Zorn's coaching ability develop and mold the young quarterback Brandon Silvers in Seattle?